Welcome to the Maine Real Estate Roundtable podcast. I'm Bobby Grenier, your trusted guide to navigating the world of real estate in Maine. Get ready to debunk mortgage myths, unravel real estate mysteries, and learn tips to avoid costly mistakes. Whether you're an industry pro, an overwhelmed buyer, confused seller, or simply curious about life in Maine, this is the podcast for you. Hey friends, you have found the Maine Real Estate Roundtable podcast. I'm your host, Bobby, and I appreciate you joining me today. For those of you that have listened to the podcast before, welcome back. And for those of you that are new to the podcast, thank you so much for taking the time, giving us a try, giving us a listen. I know you're going to enjoy it. So I hope you all are enjoying your summer. I'm taping this mid-July, and honestly, summer in Maine is something very special. We've had some warm weather, actually a little bit too warm some days, and I have to share with you all that Mike and I bought a boat this year, and we've been enjoying being out on the water. And it's an older boat. I think it's a 1996, but it's in amazing shape. The previous owner and the owner before that just took great care of this boat. So we're really having a lot of fun with it. I've even done a little bit of fishing, which I haven't done for a lot of years, but I forgot how relaxing it was. So I hope you're all taking the time to unplug, put those phones down, get outside. If you're in Maine, we have amazing lakes. Hiking is just, like I said, summer in Maine is the absolute best. So if this is your first episode, you picked a great time to join us, because today we're diving into the success mindset. And I think that's something that everybody can benefit from. Yes, this is a real estate related podcast, but so many of my topics can go to any profession and translate into things that add value to your personal life, I hope, as well. So I always tell people that whenever I come up with an episode topic, usually someone jumps or pops into my head, and that's the first person I reach out to. And this time the person was Chrissy Patin. Chrissy is a real estate agent with Nexthome experience, and her story is incredible. She has faced a serious challenge that would knock any of us flat on our ass, but she's here to share how she picked herself back up. And she's going to give us the practical ways that she shows up every day for herself, for the people that she loves, and for her clients. And she has turned this mindset into a thriving real estate career. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this conversation with my friend Chrissy Patin. Good morning, Chrissy.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining me on this sunny Maine morning.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Bobby. I was telling you just a little while ago that I'm super happy and really flattered that you invited me on this.
Well, I appreciate that, but really this whole podcast can't happen unless people like you agree to come on and have a chat with me. So I appreciate you back.
Well, thank you.
Well, I know a lot about you. You're an awesome person, but can you share more about Chrissy with everybody listening?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So I still kind of consider myself new to real estate. I've been doing this for 5 years. I actually joined, I had about 2 years, a year and a half experience prior to the pandemic kicking in. So this has been the most rewarding, challenging, amazing time of my life, professionally. And I love it. So it's been a whirlwind, and things just keep getting better and better. But I'm from Maine. I was born and raised in Maine, and marriage to a military member took me outside of Maine, and we traveled the country and the world for almost 20 years, living in other countries, and had 2 children, and decided to move back to Maine after about 20 years away. And super happy to be back. And I lost my husband about 15 years ago to injuries sustained in the war. So life just turned upside down, did a complete 360, and I'm really proud of myself. I'm doing great. I know he's looking down, so proud. So
That's such a great thing to hear. I'm really proud of myself because, I think that he definitely is looking down and smiling and seeing just what an amazing woman you are. And that really was, well, the whole picture of who you are was really what encouraged me to reach out to you to see if you would do this podcast. Because when I think of positivity, which is really what we're going to be talking about today, you come to mind. A lot of it through your social media. I mean, you just have these posts that the minute I see you're going to post a little video, I smile because I know it's just going to be a very simple, happy, good morning, great way to start your day. And I have to believe that other people that see that smile as well.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to hear that. It helps me too, so I'm glad to hear that. Thank you.
So you clearly seem to be a person that has some structure and some practices that you do to start your day off in that positive mindset. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, I would consider myself to be pretty structured and disciplined in many areas. I'm definitely not perfect. I still have so many things that I work on. But I think it starts first thing in the morning. Sleep is a big thing for me. I went years and years due to trauma without it. So now that I'm back and have the ability to sleep, I love it. So I focus on, trying to get to bed early. And I say early, no later than 10 o'clock. And I rise between 4 and 5. I try and make sure that I'm up before anyone else. The quiet time provides me thoughts, no distraction. I am religious and I say my prayers and thanks for waking up another day, and exercise. I have a dog who is my best friend. She's just amazing, and she kind of keeps me grounded, a responsibility, somebody that's completely dependent on me, it makes my heart feel good. And food. I'm Italian. I love food. So what I put in my body, I know is what sustains me. And if it's junk, then I'll feel bad. And so those are just kind of some simple things that I do that definitely make an impact for myself. But it's my time management, making sure that I give myself the time that I need, and it makes a difference.
I think that's so important. I was actually wondering when you were talking whether you were going to put in like meditation or journaling, and prayer definitely is to me, because I'm like, I should meditate. I should meditate. And then it's like, no, like I will pray and I will talk to God some. And it's like, okay, that's a good way of meditation. And as far as journaling, I just feel like it's one more thing I have to do. It's like, it's not for you, Bobby. So stop, you watch all of these self-help things and it
Right.
tells you to journal. And it's like, that's not really, that's not for me. Why am I pushing something that just doesn't fit well with what I want to do? I have other ways to express myself.
Right. Yeah. No, my 10 minutes of coffee time, I probably should allow myself a little bit more time. I'm busy. I'm always moving. But my 10 minutes sitting in my comfortable chair, having my coffee in the morning, that totally gives me the time I need to reflect on previous things, to think about my to-dos, to kind of set the tone for my mindset to have a good day.
I think that's so important. And it's, to me, so important as women because no offense to the very busy men out there, but we do tend to put ourselves last and not take the time that we need. I used to get up early when my kids were younger just to have that, that me quiet time. And I used to think, oh, I should be packing lunches. I should be, I could run the vacuum real quick, but that time that I would just sort of sit and drink my coffee and sort of, like you said, think about things that I've done, things that I need to get done. And it does kind of start your day in a much better way than if you just jump out of bed with your hair on fire and start
Yeah.
Start
I mean,
running
I still
around.
do have those every once in a while, but
Yeah,
I try,
well,
but because I'm a planner, I like structure. I like to plan things. So, and I don't always do a great job of putting myself first. This is something new. My children are college age. They don't need mom as much. So this is a huge transition in my life that I'm learning how to be me and not just mom. So it's sad and awesome and scary and fulfilling all at the same time. So, but I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it.
I think that's something that so many people and women can relate to. And that's all just very simple and practical things that we can do for ourselves. So do you find that those practices set you up in a more positive way to start your day in the crazy world of real estate?
Yeah, it really it does. The biggest thing that it helps me is to establish boundaries. Um, Again, because I am a people pleaser, because I want everyone to be happy and content around me. I would go to extremes to do things for others and allow me to kind of fall behind. But if I take my time in the morning, in the evenings, kind of have an idea of what tomorrow's going to bring, then I am not running around. I'm not forgetting things. Um, I don't procrastinate. That is one thing I do not do. I do everything ahead or on time. So I'm not playing catch up. When I forget something, that just puts me in a tailspin, and it's not a good feeling. So I know that about myself. So having the checklists and all that stuff, um, it just helps me have a good day.
Yeah, I can see that because I am the opposite. I naturally want to procrastinate, and I finally, if I'm at work and somebody asks me to do something and they say you don't have to do that now, and it's like, oh no, I do have to do it right now.
Yeah,
Otherwise, my brain may not think about that, in 2.5 hours when it absolutely has to be done.
right, right.
Yeah, clearly that structure is something that helps out. And I think too, with real estate, I'm not a real estate agent, but obviously I see it, and it sometimes will happen in my job as well, is that it's if you don't make structure for yourself, it could get very chaotic because you
Mhm.
do have, you work strange hours, nights, weekends, whenever folks are available to meet with you or see homes or
Yep.
whatever. So to have that structure, and like you said earlier, to set those boundaries so that you can have some balance. So how do you work to keep your work and personal life and your you time all balanced out?
That's a work in progress. Like, um, because there are some situations where the boundaries have to be really pushed. For example, if I've got clients that are on a serious deadline, they only have a short window in which they have to sell their home or purchase a home, then, my hours that I'm available totally go right out the window. So those are where I have to be flexible. Um, but I think communicating verbally, or written, depending on how you're communicating with people, I express that out loud so that there's no surprises. So there's no wondering, and no mind reading. I'll say, if I have a new client, I am available until about 8:30 at night, and then I try and silence my phone to finish up anything that I have to the rest of the day, and I'll respond to anything by no later than 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. So they kind of know that I don't. You might be up watching the news at 11:30 tonight, um, and think of a question, and you can send it to me, but I will respond. It's good for all of us. We live in a world of immediate gratification. Social media, phones, everything allows people. to be accessible 24 hours a day. And a lot of us feel as though we need to be available 24 hours a day. And the reality is we don't. I'm of the mindset, let's do the grind. And sometimes you have to make sacrifices during that process. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now. A lot of the boundaries I think I have to maintain on a professional level. Personally, people just know me well enough that I'm doing what I'm doing, and they're very accepting of it.
Yeah, I think that's a great point to talk about. Well, first off, the people pleasing and the accessibility, because I'm an over explainer,
Hmm.
and sometimes anything, if I call the dentist to reschedule my appointment, I don't need to explain why. I simply need to reschedule the appointment, so that's
Yeah.
something that I can relate to, and I definitely am trying to work on. And I'm sure that clients, we all are in our mindset. They're probably, just really focused on getting this property. And like you said, 11 o'clock, midnight. Oh, I wonder, I meant to ask Chrissy this question and can shoot that off. But no, I'm not going to answer you at midnight because there usually aren't any real estate emergencies in which you have to be available at midnight.
I am so appreciative when I tell them, I'm not working tomorrow. It's my son's birthday, and I want to enjoy a celebratory day with, my family. They're so apt to be happy for me and say, "Oh my gosh, of course you need to take your time, enjoy the day," and we're allowed that. And I have to remind myself of that too, and I'm getting there. So yeah.
That's great because I mean, realtor burnout is a real thing because you do have to grind, you do have to hustle. There's a lot of competition out there. So striking that balance of meeting your clients' needs, but also taking care of yourself, that's really, really important. Um, so kind of switching gears, since you've been in real estate for 5 years and even life in general, how have you relied on keeping a positive mindset to overcome some of the challenges in your life?
I'm gonna I'm gonna say a lot started with my education. Um, I have two graduate level college degrees in counseling, and when you get those degrees, you learn a lot, and you learn more about yourself than um, than possible. So with that background, um, then fast forwarding to losing my husband, um, that was obviously the biggest challenge I've ever had to overcome. Don't really nothing you really overcome, but manage. But I think my faith that uh, no matter what, I don't have reasons, I don't have whys. I just know that I have a firm belief that nobody's going to do anything for me but me. Being a mom, I take very seriously. I'm considering myself to be a very involved mom. And so knowing that I had these two young children reliant on me, nobody was going to come and pay my bills. Nobody was going to come and feed my children, bathe them, take them to school. I had wonderful family and friends help me, during the, the quick transition process. But I didn't want to, I made a choice. It's all about choices, I guess, Bobby. I made a choice that I did not want to live the rest of my life miserable. I did not want my children to witness unhappiness and depression. Did go through a little bit of a, angry stage, of course. We talk about that daily, um, but I talk about it. I talk through things, and um, again, I don't know. It's something deep within me that I am competitive, and I don't want outside things to have a negative impact on my life. So I have chosen and do choose, whether it's challenging clients, whether it's a challenging contract, and we have some really unfortunate things that we have to work through. I believe that I can step back, evaluate the situation, take a breath, and know that I can find a solution. It takes a village, right? Everything takes a village. I say me, but I rely on many other people to get me through. But in the end, it is me that's putting on my pants and walking out the door every day. And a lot of it is my children. I want them to see strength.
I absolutely love that answer, and I can so relate to it, because I have had situations in my life that I have said, I want my kids to see their mom being strong, to see me overcoming, to understand, because that's how they learn, and people around us, that's how they learn, to watch how you handle a situation. The bad part of me is I don't like to look vulnerable, like in front of my
Yeah.
kids or other people that, I maybe, want to seem like a little more of a superwoman too. But I had
Yeah.
to get over that, because they have to see. So when they're faced with challenges, they have to see that they may fall apart and then stand up and put themselves together and probably be stronger in the long run. So
Right.
now I absolutely love that answer. And it's a very personal answer, but it certainly can translate to anything in life, including, your professional life, and the whole, it takes a village, certainly with raising kids in a family and in your personal life, and getting through trauma and a tragic situation like you unfortunately had to do. It's also with a real estate deal. It definitely takes a village.
It totally does. It's we're dealing with people's typically most expensive investment. And so heightened emotions will come into play with every single transaction. And, we are their point of contact. So when they're upset, sometimes it may be directed toward me, but I have to sit back and remind myself, this isn't about me. This is about the situation. They need to be heard. They need to be validated. And so that's where the communication part for me and listening skills
Mhm.
really comes into play. And the ability to listen and take on all of the stress from our clients it can weigh pretty heavily. I personally get emotionally involved with many of my clients. We establish relationships. I grow to learn a lot about these individuals and families, and form friendships. And so sometimes it can feel a little personal when they get upset. So I have to remind myself, to kind of step back and again, just validate what they're going through, reassure them that they hired me for a reason. I am their advisor. I am the expert that will find ways to get us through. It may take time. It might require some patience.
I absolutely agree with that. And it is, you have to be the reasonable person. I know I've many times, after closing, I've had people call, and, I'm usually like, give that call to me, if somebody's upset, and I will let them vent and, carry on to a degree. And then it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm happy to discuss this issue with you. I feel like you maybe need a minute to gather yourself. And here is my line. Here is my name. Call me back and we'll talk about this. And nine
Yeah.
times out of 10, they'll be like, oh, well, we can talk about it now. But
Right.
if
Right.
I was getting, upset and,
Right.
coming back at them, somebody kind of has to hold it together. So I
Yeah.
think, in,
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to be a punching bag,
no,
and I think I do a pretty good job of making that clear. But I also, you know, I'll say, get it all out, get all of your frustrations, and then now we're going to formulate a plan. Again, I just have to remind myself, this isn't about me. This is not about me. It's not a personal attack. It's just frustrations getting
Yeah. And
shared.
most times that's pretty easy to do. There are times though that we're human beings and maybe we're not having the best day, but
Right.
again, that comes back to just being mindful, staying positive and productive. I mean, we didn't really talk about that, but that's definitely such a huge part of it, because thinking back in everything we've talked about so far, productivity has been weaved into everything you've said, with your strategies, with your mindset, with your techniques, to okay, we're going to take a minute, we're going to, get our frustration out, do what we have to do, and then we're going to move on, because what we're
Right.
doing right now, spinning our wheels, does nothing. So how important is that to kind of spread that positivity around, even, just to your family, friends, and of course, clients and colleagues?
I Social media has really, it's been so pivotal for me. And it's so funny because um, I'll run into a friend from 30 years ago and they'll say, um, you haven't posted your walks with Molly in, I haven't seen you in 5 days. So that makes me smile that people that I don't even know are watching me and part of my daily life, and that I'm making them smile. That's awesome. Like when you give somebody something and you don't expect anything in return, that provides such satisfaction. Um, and that's my focus every day. I don't, um, when I first started doing this, it was more just for people to learn, like, oh, Chrissy's in real estate now. Um, and then it became, I wasn't just talking about real estate, I'm talking about eating breakfast, I'm talking about um, the sunset, uh, springtime in Maine, just a variety of things. But doing that and knowing that people out there, not everybody, because I know lots of people have blocked me, and that's fine. I'm not everyone's cup of tea.
It is great, and clearly it's important to you to put some love and light out into the world. And yes, a lot of times we start this and we interweave our business and marketing into that, but it's pretty clear for you that it's just who you are, and it's walking your dog with a messy bun or drinking your coffee in your robe, and it's all just such simple messages. So I definitely appreciate it. I will never block you.
Thank you. Yeah, like some people try and keep their professional and their personal life so separate. I can't do that. I used to do that. But it makes it so much easier when I'm just I'm me. I'm Chrissy. I'm the same. I'm mom. I'm Chrissy. I'm realtor. Um, all bundled up into one.
Yeah, I struggled with that. Not necessarily struggled, but I didn't want, I wanted to be appropriate, and appear professional and all of that. And I'm not, but I got to the point of, you shouldn't post anything, in my opinion, on social media that would, embarrass you. And sometimes it keeps you honest to not post something that, you later on, you're going to be, what was I even thinking, putting that out there? But it is striking the balance.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I've always kind of been an open book, and more especially like my life experiences, because I know me sharing helps other people. So um and we can't control what other people think, how they're going to react, how they're going to respond, what they're going to say. So I'm just out here living my life, living my life and doing the best that I can.
Well, you're really, really authentic in doing that, and I'm sure that your clients appreciate that as well. Like you said, you're a real person. If you have a day you want to spend with your son for his birthday, and I think people appreciate, like you said, the honesty and just being upfront and transparent and letting them know, what they can expect from you. And also, but yes, I'm a human as well, so
Yeah,
I definitely think people would appreciate that. So you do really seem to have a great relationship with your clients, in my experience, when you come into the office for the closing room and you fight hard for your clients, which is also something that I've witnessed firsthand, which is great to see. I appreciate that in my business. Do you have any
thank you.
clients? You're welcome. Do you have any clients or stories or anything that's kind of touched your heart and helped you in your journey to positivity?
I think some of my best client success stories are, and some of them are most recent, um, are some that are kind of life transitions. I've had the privilege of working with many families helping their parents sell properties to transition into the next stage of their life, not being able to maintain a home anymore. And so there's so many emotions, bittersweet thoughts of, leaving a home that they've lived in, raised a family, helped, all these memories with grandchildren, and then moving on. Um, it can be a really sad, emotional time for families. Um, and so I just try my best to focus on all these memories, and that memories move with you. And um, and I try and be a shoulder, and to understand that this transition can be scary and sad and bittersweet, but all of the awesome new things that await them. So those are some of my really happy memories. Um, some other success stories are working with clients that come to me after they've been searching for years for a home, working with some other realtors. They just couldn't find what they were looking for. And my patience and my diligence and listening to what they really want and not giving up. Yeah, I have so many good stories, Bobby. Having to narrow down to like it's really hard.
You actually brought up a really interesting perspective because we do so focus on the new homeowner, your first time home, that vacation home. But the other side of that is that seller that, for whatever reason, might not be, it's a necessity or it's something that they have to do, but they might not be overjoyed in, having to sell their home. So, and I've seen it too. I mean, I have cried with people at the closing table, and I'm sure you
Yeah.
have too,
Hmm.
because, maybe they're selling mom's home that has recently passed, or, even like you said, they're moving on to a next adventure, but it's scary. This is the home they raised their children in, and they had
Yeah.
so many holidays and wonderful memories. And I don't know as people totally appreciate in real estate the emotional part of it that you all have to handle. I always talk about all the hats, all the hats that you have to wear.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where I'm so thankful for my education, my degrees in counseling. I think it it's pivotal. It really is in some situations. But I mean, I've worked with so many first time home buyers, and you know, that has huge success as well. Seeing these young people, um, you know, handing keys to them and seeing such a bright future. That's awesome. But yeah, I mean, there are so many things um, that are rewarding, and I, my ability, like the life transitions, my ability to remind them that it's it's not all sadness. Like there are potential amazing things that are coming next. And I am so fortunate to be part of that process.
Well, you have the education and attitude and life experiences to back up being able to say that to a client, and to truly mean it. And I'm sure that authenticity and just how genuine you are comes across to your clients, and they appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
To give information or to give some advice, what is some practical uh, advice that you can give to somebody that maybe has found themselves in a negative funk? And this doesn't necessarily have to be for real estate, anybody in general, in their professional life that just needs to find a way to turn over that new leaf and just become more positive for themselves, for their family, for their coworkers, for their business.
I think environment plays a huge, huge part into your mindset. Social media can be really negative, or social media can be really positive. You can go down a rabbit hole real fast on social media, seeing how people live this perfect life, which is probably very false. But I would probably say, one, to give yourself grace, remind yourself, like, focus on the present time. I think some people get so focused on next month, next year, they get so far ahead in their brain that it's overwhelming, and then they just want to give up. So I focus on the immediate future, like right in front of me, and find a person that that you can communicate with, that can have a positive impact, a mentor, getting outside, just getting outside and seeing another human being walking down the street and saying hello. Like, interaction. When you don't interact with people, it can, so that would probably be my biggest thing, is focus on your environment. Where are you? If, getting some exercise, drinking what, sleep, just your basic life necessities. People don't take care of themselves as best as they could. So I think if you try and get a good night's sleep, put your phone away, get off social media, get outside, have a conversation with another human being, totally separate from work, anything, it can, that can just kind of change things for you. Challenge yourself. That's probably a big thing. Do something that kind of scares you, that's out of the norm, and you will feel a good sense of pride.
It's all getting back to the basics, and just everything you're saying. The word that comes back to me is just center yourself, find you, and then everything will kind of grow from that.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Chrissy, for coming on. I really, really loved our talk this morning, and I know that everybody listening is going to benefit. And I appreciate you sharing your story and some of your personal challenges and triumphs. They're very, very inspirational. So I appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
A huge shout out and thank you to Chrissy Patin for coming on the show today and for sharing her story and also her success mindset. So here's your call to action. Every day we need to get up and choose happiness, choose success, choose that positive mindset that will serve us and those that we love in our lives. So if you want to learn more about Chrissy Patin, go to mainrealestateroundtable.com and visit the show notes page. I'll have more information about Chrissy and also her contact information. So thanks again for listening. This has been the Maine Real Estate Roundtable podcast with Bobby Grenier. I hope you enjoyed today's discussion and will share this episode with a friend. And don't forget to leave a review and follow the podcast so you don't miss new episodes. The content of this podcast is for informational purposes and not intended as legal advice or representation by myself or any of the guests on the podcast. Thanks for listening, and until next time, keep it real.